So Hendricks Gin, probably one of the most famous and popular gins on the planet right now, but have they gone and made an even better one with this special release, limited edition one called Orbium? Well, you're about to find out, and we're starting right now. G'day folks, my name's Tim and welcome to Tim and Tonic, where we discover the world's best gins and how to drink them. So today we're going to be tasting this little fellow, the Hendricks Orbium. If you want to learn more about the original Hendricks, I'll pop down in the comments below a link to a review and comparison that I already did of the signature original Hendricks gin. But to kick off this review, before I get started, there is one thing already that disappoints me a little bit about the Orbium gin. And that's what it says on the bottle here. It says limited release. Now, this bottle I picked up quite recently, I picked it up a few weeks ago, but limited release. This gin came out in 2017. 2017. So it's 2022 now, 5 years later. You can still buy this gin 5 years later. How much of a limited release can something be if you can still buy it 5 years later? I mean, if it was really popular and you decided to make it a core product, absolutely fair enough. But man, come on. Take off the limited release from the bottle, because it's really not a limited release if you're making it all the time. To me, that just seems like a sneaky way to justify a more expensive price. First impressions aside, I've heard some pretty good things about this gin, so I'm quite excited to taste it. Now, from what I understand, the Orbium gin starts off its life much like the original Hendricks gin, but then on top of that, they add some additional flavorings after the distillation. And if you look on the bottle here, they've got this term called quininated, which essentially means that they've added quinine to the gin. Now, for those of you that are familiar with tonic water, or if you're not, you should check out the link I'm popping in the description down below to the video all about tonic water. But quinine is the main flavoring of tonic water. It's kind of what gives tonic not only its signature taste, but the signature bitterness as well. And then on top of that, in the Orbium, they add some blue lotus flower and some wormwood. Now, wormwood is also the main ingredient in absinthe. And not what you're thinking from absinthe, it doesn't give it that licorice anise kind of flavor. It's the one that originally absinthe got that reputation for being a little bit hallucinogenic. But that was a little bit of a myth, and these days they use it in the small quantities that really doesn't make that happen anyway, so it's more there for the flavor. The other thing they don't talk about, which I did notice, is here in Australia, I know it's different, a few of you told me that it's different elsewhere in the world, but here in Australia, and I think in the UK too, they bottle the Hendricks gin at 41.4%, but the Orbium here is bottled at 43.4%. So it's a little bit of a step up alcohol-wise too, which generally means there's a little bit more flavor. So purely from a taste point of view so far, I'm pretty excited to try this one because it sounds very, very interesting compared to the original Hendricks gin. So let's crack it open, try it neat, and see what exactly we're in for. I have to say, immediately on the nose, I find it very different to the original Hendricks gin. With the original Hendricks gin, the first thing that always gets to me is the rose. The cucumber comes second. It's always that rose that comes first. With this one, the Orbium, completely different. The first thing I'm getting is a citrusy, earthy kind of flavor. You really get that sense of the quinine of tonic water. It smells quite similar. There are some floral aromas too, but not like that out and out rose of the original Hendricks gin. Plus on top of that, a good whack of peppery spice. So to me so far, without even tasting it, it smells a lot more full-bodied, a lot more going on. This sounds like a gin lover's version of the Hendricks gin, which don't get me wrong, the Hendricks gin is really good, but to me, it's a little bit less complex. It's a really good gateway gin, but this one is for the people who've had a few gins in their time. So other than the whole charade of limited release, so far so good, let's give it a taste. Oh wow, that's pretty big and full-bodied. From Hendricks, I really wasn't expecting that because this original Hendricks gin, for me, was the definition of smooth. It was just so easy to drink, really mellow, anyone and everyone can like Hendricks gin. As long as you like cucumber and like floral flavors, you're good with Hendricks. But this one has just got so many more layers of complexity. I get that little bit of bitterness, especially on the finish from the quinine. There's kind of earthiness, there's a lot more spiciness. You get that much more sense of, I guess, a traditional gin flavor profile. Oh, the more I come back to it, the more I like it. And that finish, that bitterness, you know, if you like bitterness like in a Negroni, I think you're gonna like this gin. So far, so good. I have to say, I'm really digging this Orbium gin. So let's clear the table and put it through its paces in a gin and tonic. So as you probably just saw, I decided to pair this one with elderflower tonic. Now, I really liked, you know, elderflower tonic, it's a little bit sweet, so it'll offset some of those bitter flavors. I did do a little bit of prior research and I found that regular tonic water, it was just too much, you know. There's quinine in this, there's already a bit of bitterness in this, it was just too much. But if you don't like elderflower, the aromatic tonic water from Fever Tree or the Mediterranean tonic from Fever Tree was really good too, if you want to get a more pure gin flavor, because, you know, quinine is already in this, so if you use soda water, you get that kind of essence of gin and tonic without it being a gin and tonic. And then the garnish, a little bit of lemon to balance out all the sweet flowers of the elderflower tonic. Also, you know, quinine and citrus as a garnish. It's just a match made in heaven. Anyway, let's give this a taste. Oh man, that's actually really good, you know? You get the bitterness coming through from both the tonic and from the Hendricks. Then with the citrus, it just balances out the sweetness. This is actually really, really good. I kind of feel like if you put soda water with this, maybe even the classic Hendricks cucumber garnish would work great too, because, you know, the lemon here, it just balances out the sweetness, but you don't need that maybe with the other types of tonic water or soda. So, oh, it's really good. It makes a great gin and tonic. Okay, so passes the gin and tonic test. Let's see how it goes in a cocktail. I want to try this one in a Corpse Reviver number 2, which has got some more herbal flavors to tie in with those bitter flavors. And also it's got the citrus as well, like I had here. So let's see how it goes. All right, so Hendricks Orbium, Corpse Reviver number 2. Let's see how it tastes. Oh wow, that's super interesting. Honestly, I had heard good things about the Hendricks Orbium, but I don't think I was quite expecting to like it as much as what I do. The more I come back to it, the better it gets. This is just so drinkable in a cocktail like this. Gin sours, Ton Collins, whatever. I think this is quite versatile and it's really tasty. Okay, so we put it through its paces. Now's the time to talk about the final verdict on the Hendricks Orbium Gin and how it compares to the original. Okay, so first up, all the basic stats. We're talking a 700ml bottle, 43.4% alcohol, and it costs around $90 Australian, or if you're in the US, I think it's around 47 US dollars, or in the UK, 37 pounds. In terms of flavor, I love the Hendricks Orbium. I think it's such a big step up in complexity and deliciousness than the original Hendricks. The original Hendricks, in comparison, is quite simple, quite easy drinking, very smooth, if that's what you want to call it. So guys, now you know all about the Hendricks Orbium Gin. You probably want to know a little bit more about the original Hendricks. Well, I've got just the video for you. Click through here and you're gonna learn everything you need to know. Compare it to another delicious Scottish gin, but I hope you enjoyed this review, this comparison. Cheers guys, I'll see you next time.